My wife admitted to abusing our daughter after 20 years. I have no idea what to do now. I have not been the greatest father. I immersed myself in work throughout my children's childhoods and was not always present, although I did try to be as much as I could. My wife and I have been married for over 30 years, and we have 2 children. A 30-year-old son and a 29-year-old daughter. We were high school sweethearts and have had an incredible marriage. She is the love of my life. She has been a stay-at-home mom for most of our marriage. Our son lives at home with us, while our daughter, on the other hand, is estranged from us and has lived away from our home since she became an adult. My daughter and my wife have always clashed like animals. It was extremely difficult being caught in the middle and trying to mend things. They just could not get along. My daughter has accused my wife of physical, emotional, and verbal mistreatment for almost as long as we can remember. We even attended family therapy when my daughter was in middle school, but the therapist determined that my daughter may have been fabricating some of the allegations for attention. This was further complicated by the fact that our son had no issues with his mother, it was just our daughter. My wife is a strict woman and I've had to talk to her about easing up on several occasions because she could be quite harsh on the kids. However, I have never witnessed or heard her abuse my daughter. Only the typical arguments between parents and children. My daughter claimed that my wife was physically abusive, hitting her, throwing things, and was extremely verbally abusive, calling her names like fat, ugly, stupid, and worthless. These were all things my wife denied and that I believed my wife would never say or do. I staunchly defended my wife but also made every effort to reconcile with my daughter. She left home as soon as she could, citing her mother as the reason and me as an enabler. She practically never looked back. She officially cut off contact with us over a year ago after a phone argument with her mother that I did not witness, and we have not heard from her since. My wife told me it was over a disagreement regarding babysitting for my daughter's child, our only grandchild. Our attempts to reconcile have gone unanswered. She has even declined to attend family funerals when our family members passed away. She has since married, which means I missed my only daughter's wedding, not to mention losing contact with my only grandchild. This has been a huge blow. I began therapy shortly after my daughter severed contact with us because I desperately needed to understand what was happening. My therapist has been great and has helped me accept this situation and grieve the loss of my relationship with my daughter. She helped me understand that while I may not have been the best father to my daughter, I cannot change the past, and all I can do is wait for my daughter to potentially reconnect with me. I decided to involve my wife in therapy as well. Initially, she was against it, but I insisted on attending sessions together and separately. I have since been going less frequently but check in every now and then. Recently, my wife asked me to attend a session to support her, where she and our therapist revealed a shocking revelation. During their individual therapy sessions, they had been addressing my wife's acceptance of her abusive behavior towards our daughter. My wife apparently broke down and confessed that everything our daughter had said was true. They discussed how to move forward and potentially mend our relationship with our daughter. One of the initial steps was for my wife to admit to me that everything our daughter said about their conflicts was accurate. My wife also admitted that the argument that severed our relationship with our daughter was because she had been insulting our granddaughter, calling her fat and stupid during rare visits. Our granddaughter then relayed this information to our daughter, who promptly cut off contact with us. I am horrified and have no idea how to proceed. The session made me physically ill, and I ended up walking out. For 20 years, I staunchly defended my wife and believed her when she called my daughter a liar. I yelled at my daughter for lying when she pleaded with me to believe her. I must accept that this is entirely my fault, and I drove my daughter away. I don't even know her phone number, address, or how to reach her. I haven't heard my daughter's voice in over a year, and the last time she spoke to me, she said she never wanted to see me again because I enable my wife, who tormented her entire life. Despite everything, I still defended my wife. I feel overwhelming self-loathing right now. She's my only daughter. I believe my marriage is over. I am currently staying with my brother, and my wife has been calling me nonstop. Her voicemails range from begging to talk to screaming about how I am not supporting her. My therapist has also called and left a message suggesting we try to have another session to move forward but encouraged me to take my time. I recognize that I am also at fault, and I should have listened and believed my daughter, but I can't change the past. I just want to know how to proceed from here. I feel physically sick. This is an enormous burden to bear. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. I have decided to divorce my wife. I want to clarify a few things. I was initially uncertain about divorcing my wife because I simply did not know where to begin. I was still reeling from the therapy session and was very confused and, honestly, a little frightened. I had to face the fact that I didn't actually know the woman I had been married to for 30 years, and I didn't know what she was capable of. I had my faults, yes, 100%, but I loved and trusted my wife. I knew I needed to leave, but I simply didn't know how. There were so many other things running through my head as well, money, assets, explaining this to our families. After 30+ years of marriage, it was a lot to sort out by myself, and I needed some guidance to make sure I did it right. I have since decided that I don't care what it takes, and I don't intend to lie to save face with our families. I did speak to my son about the abuse allegations. I asked him what he saw or heard, and he has always stood by his mother. My son has no relationship with his sister. As I mentioned in a previous comment, they never got along. The fact that this was because he was the golden child was something that I only recently became aware of and something that I have been addressing in therapy. He stood by his mother and would support her during their arguments. When my daughter and wife would fight, he would come to me and tell me that his sister was lying, that he was there and saw what happened, and that his mother did not hit or berate his sister. He would say that his sister was there and saw what happened and that his mother did not hit or berate his sister. He would say that his sister was throwing a fit or being a B word over my wife making a normal request. Ashamedly, I believed the two of them because of a messed up majority rules type of thing. I had two people I loved and trusted both telling me the same story. I am not proud of that, but that was the way I saw it. As adults, my daughter has refused to speak to my son and would not come to the house if he was home. My son does not care and has not tried to mend his relationship with her. The blow up of this is reaching gargantuan levels. My wife got to my son first because I was not in the home, and he is refusing my calls. I left him a voicemail asking him to keep his mind open and that I'm here to talk whenever he is ready. My wife, on the other hand, has not stopped calling, and her voicemails and texts range from losing her shit to begging to talk. I will be meeting with a new therapist and continuing therapy. When my divorce is finalized, and if my therapist thinks it's a good idea and that I'm ready, I will try to find a way to reach out to my daughter. I do not wish to stalk her or hire a private investigator, which has been suggested here. That seems very invasive to me and I feel as if it would only frighten my daughter and drive her away further. I don't know how else I can do it, but I'll figure that out, since it likely won't be for a very long time.